Someone asked a question about grade school education. So I just want to, I'll get to this in more detail a little later because I want to answer these in order. On grade school education, if you guys are familiar with unschooling, it's kind of like a hippie, freewheeling approach to education. First, I think the school system as we have it is just awful. I don't think it's effective. I don't think it works, and I don't think it's necessary. I'm not a hippie. I'm not. I don't agree with the view that parents shouldn't discipline their children. But on the other hand, I believe it is okay to spank your children. But on the other hand, the Bible actually has a lot more to say about parenting than spank your children. And spank your children is not the primary advice it gives. There is a great deal of biblical teaching on parenting of children. Now, I think one issue people on the internet have, I'm just appalled by when like a teenager asks for advice on Reddit and the wise 20, 30-year-olds come in to announce that mom or dad is gaslighting them or is a narcissist. I mean, stop calling everyone a narcissist. Lying is not necessarily gaslighting. And when people do something you don't like, it doesn't mean that they're plotting against you. Anyway, but I'm appalled when people don't realize that there are words of consequences for a teenager who asks for advice on how to deal with mommy or daddy. But Paul in Ephesians says about fathers, bring your sons up in the wisdom and the discipline of the Lord. But it says, don't be harsh with them. Don't give them a reason to rebel. There is such a thing as being too harsh. In any case, unschooling is kind of this idea that children should be able to direct their own education, meaning they shouldn't be forced how to learn to read. They shouldn't be forced to take certain subjects. Rather, parents should actively facilitate opportunities for children to engage with different kinds of stuff. Now, I know your people's kids are really important to them, right? You don't get to try something out, and if it doesn't work, you just try again. So I think a lot of people are kind of nervous about trying that out. But I learned about this when I was 19. And I was kind of really into it. There's this blog, Freedom to Learn by Peter Gray, which talks about this. I was really into it. And so I would just talk about it at the dinner table. Now, my brother hated school. Now, actually, the school we went to, I actually think was a great school. We went to Summit Christian Academy, and I have nothing but good things to say about that place. I've got great memories from high school. But, he was just going through a tough time. And mom and dad were convinced to give unschooling a try. And at first, he was in 8th grade. He just played video games all the time. Now, according to the blog that I had read, this was to be expected as they kind of deprogrammed from the old habit. I don't know if I would have been as confident as I was back then now. Just being who I am now, I don't know if I would have been confident, but I insisted, Jake is fine. He will get over this phase. He's going to focus on more substantive stuff. Just give it time. And, he did. About 6 months afterwards, he just totally, transformed. It was an incredible success. I didn't realize how smart he was. Looking back, I realized I should have seen it. But he just began to read book after book after book, serious books. He became this incredible cook. He lost 100 pounds. And I think there really is something like unschooling, something like self-directed education. I've seen it work just incredibly well. And we are saturated in written text today. People sometimes think that, kids wouldn't learn to read if they weren't forced to learn it. Because, obviously there were times where most people were illiterate. But there's so much words everywhere these days. I don't think that the same holds true. I don't know how far I would go, but I definitely, there's a lot of evidence that at least most kids would learn how to read. even if they were not forced to go through a curriculum. Anyway, I think the educational system as we know it today, people think this is definitely necessary. It's not just taken for granted. I think we should at least ask some critical questions about it. And I think it's appalling to force a kid to go to school and sit for the better part of 8 hours, 5 days a week. I think that's absurd. And I think that is just intensely counterproductive. So I'm at least much closer to unschooling than I am at defending the status quo. And I don't agree that it's just a matter of, well, you need to teach different subjects or teach these subjects better, whatever that means. I don't think that there is powerful evidence that the educational system as we know it even close to works. Okay.